Hi, I'm Megan, and leading worship for the glory of the Lord is my passion. As I've taken on different worship leader roles within the church, I've realized that there are many parts to a worship service that we, as worship leaders, don't usually think about. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of those things, taking up an offering within a worship service. Scripture teaches us to give our tithes and offerings to the church, and that through our giving, we help further the kingdom and will be blessed in eternity with Christ. As a small child, I remember getting so excited when my parents would give me a few coins to place in the offering plate. As I grew older, my parents always encouraged me to give a portion of my allowance to the church, and they always reminded me to be a cheerful giver. My pastor always reminds my church that we're called to give generously. As I'm growing up and learning more about tithes and offerings within the church, I'm learning that though it may be considered an earthly sacrifice to give resources to the church, it's ultimately an investment in the kingdom of heaven. As worship leaders, we help set the tone for the offertory. The offertory is a churchy word for the time in the service when tithes and offerings are taken up. Your church might prefer to call it a time of giving or something a little more informal than offertory. In your song selection, this is a great time to choose a piece that really helps the congregation to meditate and reflect on as they're giving to the church. Congregations receive their offerings in a number of different ways today. Some larger or mega churches have elected to invite their worshipers up to the front during a time of communion or a time of prayer. Other churches have stations set up in the back so worshipers can give on their way in or out of the service. And others encourage online giving. There are a number of different ways that you can take up an offering within your service, but for time's sake, today I'm going to be talking about one called Ushers in the Aisles. If you decide to enlist ushers to pass the plate during the offertory, here are some ways that can help you out. Number 1, who will you designate as your ushers? This is a great time to enlist people from multiple generations in your church. It serves as a reminder that everyone can give, no matter their age. It's also a great way to promote intergenerational leadership within your church. Number 2, establish a signal for your ushers to come forward. Maybe you call them forward in your prayer. Maybe you have the preacher call them forward. Maybe you tell them when a particular song starts to come forward. However you choose, it's very important to have a clear signal established for your ushers to know when to come forward. Number 3, be sure your ushers know how to pass the plate down the aisle. This seems like a given, but passing the offering plates down the aisles is a system that you have to learn. Having a logistics meeting before the service ensures a smooth process as your ushers pass the plates down the aisles. Remember, you don't want the passing of the plates to disrupt the atmosphere of worship that you've established in the service. And finally, have a designated spot for the ushers to place the offering plates. Most churches have the offering plates placed at the Lord's table. Others have a table in the back. Wherever you end up placing the plates, it's just important to make sure that they're in a safe and secure location. You want to take good care of the gifts that your congregation has prayerfully and generously given to your church. And there you have it. These are just a few pieces of advice to help guide you as you learn how to take up an offering within your congregation.